I am going to start with an overview of the key recommendations made by the Post Employment Benefits Task Force report that affects employees. Then I am going to spend a lot of time explaining the complexity of options A and B. These are integrated plan options, they are integrated with Social Security and they are quite complex. My objective is to make them as transparent as possible so that it enables you to make your own independent decisions. And then I am going to conclude with summary and dissenting statement. The recommendations can be broken down into two sets of recommendations. One is the reduction in the retiree health benefits, and there are two recommendations associated with that. And then reduction in pension benefits itself can be broken down into three components. One is the removal of certain features, and there are 7 recommendations associated with that. And then reduction in benefits at retirement and increase in UCRP contributions are encapsulated in what is known as options A, B and C, and we will discuss them in detail later, and there are some additional issues that we will discuss at the end. So, this is in one page a summary of all the recommendations, and we will not have the time to go through all of them. I am going to briefly mention a few, and I will be happy to answer any questions that you may have at the end about the ones that I have not had the time to cover. So, these are the 2 recommendations related to the retiree health. These are the 7 features, and this is how all the retirees and current employees and new employees are being affected by these changes. So, retiree health, it impacts everybody, current employees, retirees. So, current employees when they retire, new employees when they retire, or the current retirees. And there are 2 recommendations. The one is that the university contributions to the retiree premiums will decrease from about 90% to 70% over a 7-year period, decreasing 3% every year. So, in 7 years it will go down from 90% to about 70%. So, your employee contribution will increase from about 7-8% to 30%, and then the expectation is that it will stay flat at 70% after that. And this I will skip, and in changes common to all proposals. So, irrespective of options A, B and C, and these changes are going to impact all the new employees. And the first one is that right now the maximum age factor, and I am going to explain what the age factor is in a little bit, but right now people can retire comfortably, I would say, at the age 60 or higher with the maximum service credit, but that age is going to be increased by 5 years. So, you will have to, if you retire before the age of 65 in the new pension plan, then you will lose financially significantly. So, in effect your retirement has to be postponed by about 5 years. The second one is ending inactive COLA. What that does is it actually discourages you to be mobile. So, if you were to leave university, go and find employment somewhere else and then seek retirement, let us say 10 years later, then the significant reduction in the pension income. And there is no lump sum cash out. Right now there is a provision that you can either take the monthly pension or you can take a lump sum when you retire. That provision will be taken away. This provision is typically used rarely, but by people, for example, who are suffering from terminal illnesses, and they will not be able to utilize that. 4th and 5th are minor. 6th one is a reduction in survivor pension benefits. So, right now there is an option that you can either take maximum amount of money when you retire or a reduced amount, which either you or your spouse or your contingent annuitant can take, whosoever lives longer, and that amount will also be reduced. So, you will be able to leave less to the survivor or pay more for it. And then the last one is cost of living increase. This requirement is actually slightly better in some sense than the current plan, but there are questions whether this will be maintained in the final version or this feature will actually be removed. In this, cost of living increase will be provided to the new employees up to 2%, up to the 2% of inflation, and after that it will be provided to guaranteed preserving purchasing power of 80%. For the current employees it is a little more complicated, but some part of it is guaranteed and some part is ad hoc. And ad hoc is to preserve purchasing power of 75%. So, if the university does not maintain the ad hoc, then the cost of living increase can actually be even worse for the current employees. So, these are features which are common to all proposals. So, in terms of the pension plan, retirees will continue to earn the pension income that they have been promised, it does not impact them. Current employees will have given me a choice, either they can continue in the current plan right now, but the expectation would be that they would pay much higher UCRP contributions. So, our contributions are going up to 3.5% next year and then 5% the year after. That has already been decided. If you continue, then there will be minimum of 7%. Whether it is higher or not, that will be decided later on year basis depending upon the funding situation. And the other choice is that if you do not want to pay that high contributions, then you have option to switch to the new plan, which is where I am going to focus most of my discussion. And these are options A, B, C, and there are some numbers associated with it, and I am going to deal with it later. So, that is the overview of the PEB recommendations.